Something has shifted in you recently, something deep and spiritual that others are starting to notice, even if you didn't see it yourself at first. It's not about your looks, your clothes, or how you talk. It's something much more meaningful, a quiet glow that came from everything you've survived. The pain, the silence, the moments you kept going even when life tried to shut you down. That strength became a light, and someone saw it. Not in a loud or obvious way, but in a way that touched their soul. When you looked their way, or shared a small kindness, it hit them. They realized you're not who you used to be. The angels whispered, they finally see the real you, not the version shaped by your past, not the mask you used to wear just to get through, but your true soul. And in that moment, God smiled. The very things you once believed made you unworthy are what drew them closer. Heaven sees power differently. It doesn't always show up in big ways. Sometimes, it's found in the gentle strength of someone who didn't break. And that's what you've been carrying. You never tried to be seen. You weren't looking for attention. But somehow, your name keeps coming to their mind. They think of you in quiet moments. You're in their dreams, their thoughts, their memories. Not because you chased them, but because your presence left a mark. God was shaping you all this time. He was preparing your soul to be seen in a way that honors your spirit, not your image. And now someone is seeing you differently. Not just as a person, but as a reminder of God's grace. This person wasn't looking for love. They may have even been running from it. But then you entered their life. You weren't loud. You didn't try to impress them. You just were, kind, soft, patient. You gave without asking. You listened without trying to fix. You loved without needing anything in return. That shook them. They weren't ready for someone like you. Someone so real. You never needed the spotlight because you were already the light. Your presence didn't demand attention, it brought peace. And peace is powerful. When you said their name, it felt safe. When you smiled, it felt healing. You weren't pretending. You weren't trying. You were simply being yourself, and that's what caught their heart off guard. In a world full of people trying to be something, your realness stood out. All those moments you spent alone, healing silently, growing quietly, they weren't wasted. Every time your heart broke and you chose softness instead of bitterness, it changed you in a beautiful way. That softness is rare. That's what they feel now. And it's not just them. Others feel it too. You're the one people remember without understanding why. The one whose voice is calm, whose laughter feels free. The one who turned pain into light. They couldn't have noticed this version of you before because you weren't ready yet. God needed time to shape you, to protect you, to help you grow into someone who doesn't need to beg for love or prove their worth. Now, your energy speaks for itself. You don't need to explain your story, they feel it in your presence. They see the grace in your silence. And that's what they're drawn to. Now they're replaying everything. The words you said, the way you smiled, the way you made them feel light in their darkest moments. It wasn't about how you looked or acted. It was about the way your soul made them feel safe. You didn't talk about your healing, you just lived it. And now, your healing is what's healing them. You've become someone people can't forget. Your light is impossible to ignore now. Doors are opening. People are remembering you. Not because you're doing anything differently, but because God is shining through you more clearly than ever. Your presence is no longer hidden. You're not overlooked anymore. The season of being invisible is over. Some people misunderstood your silence. They thought you were distant or cold. But now they realize you were protecting your peace. You were giving space to what God was doing inside of you. Now they see it. Now they know you were never avoiding anyone. You were just honoring yourself. They had to go through empty connections to recognize the depth you offered. They had to feel your absence to appreciate what you brought. Now, you're coming back to them not in person, but in memory, in spirit. Not just your name or your face, but the way you made them feel. That calm, that quiet joy, that sense of being understood without needing to explain. You've always been different. You never needed to force anything. And now, that truth is becoming clear to those who once didn't see you. You've stepped into your strength. You're no longer trying to fit where you don't belong. You've stopped waiting to be chosen, because you now know you've always been chosen by God. And that confidence, it's magnetic. People are starting to feel your energy, even when you're not around. They remember how you made hard places feel safe. How you made broken parts feel accepted. You never asked them to be perfect. You just loved them as they were. And that kind of love doesn't leave people, it stays with them. It changes them. Time reveals truth. And the truth is, you were never too much. You were never too emotional, or too soft, or too intense. You were just deeper than most people were ready for. But someone is ready now. Their eyes are opening. They're realizing they missed something special. Not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't ready to see someone like you. Now they're remembering how you made them feel steady when everything else felt chaotic. They're realizing how safe your energy felt. And they can't go back to what they used to accept. Because once your soul has touched someone, they can't settle for anything less. You reminded them of something real. Something sacred. God wants you to know you were never forgotten. You were hidden on purpose, protected during the most important part of your growth. People couldn't see you clearly because heaven was still working on you. But now you're ready. Your light is strong. And your spirit is too deep to ignore. That's why they're drawn to you now. That's why they're watching you, thinking about you, maybe even regretting letting you go. You've become unforgettable. Not because of anything you did but because of who you are. The way you love. The way you carry peace. The way you offer grace to people who didn't deserve it. That's what's staying with them. That's what's making them think of you again. They're dreaming of you. They're praying about you. They're wondering if they'll get a second chance. And maybe they will. Because God is still in control. He knows the story. He's writing it. But here's what matters most: you've become whole. You don't need attention to feel valued. You don't need anyone to choose you to feel chosen. You've learned how to love yourself the way God loves you. And that, in itself, is the most beautiful glow you could ever carry. You're not loud. You don't beg to be seen. But your peace is powerful. Your silence is healing. Your presence is holy. And the angels are celebrating you not for what you've done, but for who you've become. You are love. You are light. You are grace. And now, the world is finally catching up to what heaven has known all along. You were never just another person. You are a divine soul with a purpose. And now, your time has come. You were never too emotional, too soft, too intense, or too anything. You were always just right, exactly as you were meant to be. This moment you're stepping into isn't the end of something, it's the beginning. Because once someone really sees your soul, they can't unsee it. Your presence awakens something in people, something they buried or forgot. Your light brings healing. Your energy brings people back to life. And it's not just one person who is feeling it. More people are starting to notice. You may not hear them speak it, and you may not see it clearly, but it's happening. Heaven sees. The Spirit is sending you quiet signs. A stranger's kind words, a text you didn't expect, a look that feels deeper than words. These are not just coincidences. They're little confirmations from above that you're being seen in a new light. You've stepped into something new, something divine. The veil has lifted. You've crossed into a season where your soul can no longer be hidden. People are beginning to respond to something God has always seen in you: your worth, your fire, your grace. They don't just see a smile or a kind face. They feel your energy, the way your presence softens a space. They remember how you made room for them, even when no one made room for you. They see that you walked through pain and still chose to love. And that changed them. You never tried to fix anyone. You never forced anything. You just made people feel seen, valued, and safe. You reminded them they mattered. And that kind of love doesn't disappear, it stays in their spirit. It lives there. And now, the truth is being revealed. You weren't too much. You were brave. You weren't too sensitive. You were tuned in. You weren't heavy. You were carrying something sacred. Not everyone could handle it, but someone finally can. Now they're feeling the difference. From a distance, they feel the ache of missing something meaningful. When your soul touches someone, they can't settle for shallow anymore. Your absence isn't quiet, it echoes. It lingers like a song they wish would play again. Your peace stands out in their chaos. Your love made them feel safe in a way they didn't understand until you were gone. And now, they realize the light they've been chasing everywhere else was always coming from you. God is preparing something beautiful for you. You're stepping into favor, into rooms where your name will be spoken with respect, into places where your presence will be honored, not overlooked. Even those who once doubted you are silent now, because they feel it too. Maybe they won't say it aloud, but you'll see it in how they treat you, in how they carry your name with care. That's the shift. And it's real. You earned this. The peace you now carry, you fought for it. The glow they're drawn to, it came from walking through darkness without losing your heart. Some people only understand your value once your energy is gone. And now, your distance is louder than your presence ever was. You made broken places feel whole. You made empty spaces feel sacred. That's why your memory is still with them. When they feel anxious, they think of the calm you carried. When they feel overwhelmed, they remember the way you made everything feel light again. You didn't try to be unforgettable, you just were. Because no one else did what you did. No one else was who you were. And now they know that. You were never just another person. You were never ordinary. You were chosen. You were divine. You didn't just come and go, you left a mark. A real one. And everything is shifting again. This time, though, you're not chasing anything. This time, heaven is leading. This time, people see you clearly. So trust it. You're being guided. And your light isn't hidden anymore. You're seen. You're felt. You're remembered. You're loved. The angels are celebrating you. Heaven is proud of how far you've come, how true you've stayed, and how deeply you've grown. Type 555 if you trust Jesus. Type 444 if your spirit felt this truth. Claim it. Speak it. Walk in it. Because this is your season. Your soul is shining and the world can finally see what God always knew was there. You are light. You are peace. You are powerful. And the best part, this is just the beginning. You are stepping fully into the power I've placed within you. Divine messages, consider contributing through a super thanks, whether it's $10, $20, $50 or more. Your generosity helps us share these angelic messages with the world. Together, we can build a community of faith, hope, and love.